There comes a moment in life when you're tired of chasing people who don't value you, comparing yourself to them, seeking recognition, wanting to fit into places where you don't belong. And then something happens, and you wake up. You begin to realize that strength isn't in convincing the world of your worth. True strength lies in what you do with yourself when no one is watching. Without explanations, without demonstrations. Just moving forward day by day. Today I'm not here to tell you, go, change the world. No, I'm here to remind you that everything begins with you. True change doesn't come from the outside. It is born within. And the Stoics knew this better than anyone. Because the one who has learned to find silence within no longer seeks to control what lies beyond it. In this video, you'll learn about 8 Stoic lessons that will help you focus on yourself, grow in silence, and stop wasting energy on what you cannot control. These are not just nice phrases. They are reminders that can change your life. So watch until the end, because this video is not a coincidence. It is a message for you, and it appeared exactly when you needed it the most. Before we begin, I want you to do something simple but powerful. Go to the comments and write this phrase. True change begins within me. I am a Stoic. Writing these words is not just a gesture, but a way to witness your commitment to yourself. Now let's begin. First, recognize your worth. Listen, before the world placed a label on you, before someone told you that you weren't good enough, you were already valuable. You don't need to achieve anything, or be recognized by someone, or compare yourself to others to have worth. Your worth does not depend on what the world sees, but on what you acknowledge in yourself. But of course, no one teaches us this. We are raised with the belief that we are only worth what we do, how much applause we get, or how many people love us. And that's where the problem begins. Because you live dependent on others, waiting for someone to give you what only you can give yourself, recognition. Marcus Aurelius said it very clearly. A person's true wealth lies in their soul, not in what others think of them. When you don't acknowledge your worth, you live like an emotional beggar, waiting to be fed love, attention, recognition, when in truth you already have it all. You just need to remember it. Picture an acorn. On the outside it looks small, insignificant, but inside, it is an oak, strong, powerful, capable of withstanding storms. The same goes for your wisdom. It's not always visible, but it's there, waiting to be recognized. And it doesn't flourish from applause, it flourishes from self-acceptance. Remember, a Stoic is not shaken by the opinions of others, because he knows his strength is not in their words, but in his actions and character. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And it's true. You decide whether other people's opinions lift you up or weigh you down. You decide whether to focus on what you lack or on what you already have. Don't forget yourself. Don't force yourself to wait for others' approval. Make peace with your story, with your wounds, with your process, because everything you've been through has brought you here. It's no coincidence that you're seeing this right now. Maybe you needed this reminder. Maybe today is the very day to stop seeking validation from the outside. And instead, look yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, without witnesses, and say, "I'm not perfect, but I'm on my path to success." And that's already enough. Say it not for someone else, but for yourself. And do it in silence, without proofs, without explanations. Just let your inner energy speak for you, without words. Friends, explore self-love, but not the one social media tries to sell you, because there's a truth almost no one talks about. True self-love is not indulgence, and it's not another selfie with a motivational caption. It's not glances and sweet words. It's honesty. It's discipline. It's the ability to stay with yourself in the hardest moments and not deceive yourself. Self-love is not always beautiful, easy, or comfortable. True self-love sometimes looks like a quiet battle against everything you once believed about yourself. You were taught to love others, to care, to give, to compromise, but no one taught you to return to yourself, to listen to yourself, to embrace yourself even when you feel not enough. Self-love is a deep, quiet, brave exploration. Picture yourself as an ocean. On the surface, others see you, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy, but no one, except you, can dive to the depths. There lie your fears, your wounds, your memories, your forgotten dreams. Exploring self-love is diving deep into yourself. Not to judge yourself, but to understand. Not to fix, but to accept yourself as you are, with both your light and dark sides. Although they didn't use the term self-love, the Stoics lived it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." In other words, what you think about yourself shapes your inner reality. If you speak harshly to yourself, you'll grow cold inside. But if you nurture noble thoughts about yourself, you'll become stronger and calmer. True self-love is born when you no longer need anyone else's approval. When you recognize yourself even if no one applauds you. When you decide to care for yourself not to please others, but because you know you are valuable. No big rituals needed. Just pause. Stop. Listen to yourself without judgment. Ask yourself, what do I need today? What part of me am I ignoring? What words would I like to hear? And why am I not saying them to myself? Start with small actions. Get good sleep. Say no when something drains you. Stop justifying yourself for everything. Surround yourself with what nourishes you. And keep away from what weakens you. That too is self-love. Maybe you haven't been told this enough. But you are worth a lot. Not for what you do. Not for what you have. But simply because you exist. If no one has reminded you of this lately, I'm here to remind you. You deserve to love yourself. You deserve to treat yourself well. Not only when everything is going smoothly, but especially when you feel broken inside. Don't wait for the world to start valuing you. Begin with yourself. And do it quietly and firmly. Do it every day, because no one else will live inside you, except you. Third, time and solitude. We live in a world that makes us feel guilty for being alone. If you don't reply quickly, if you don't post something, if you don't go out on weekends, people assume something's wrong with you. But let me tell you something. Solitude is not punishment. It is a privilege. And time is your most sacred resource. Most of us run from place to place as if life were an endless to-do list. But when was the last time you were alone with yourself and it didn't bother you? Picture your mind like a lake. If you're constantly surrounded by noise, thoughts, pursuits, that lake becomes disturbed, turbulent, impossible to see clearly. But when you choose stillness and silence, the lake calms, and only then can you see its bottom. That's where you truly find yourself. Not in noise, but in silence. Seneca said it plainly. It's not that we have too little time, but that we waste so much of it. And it's true. We spend our lives worrying about what we lack, not appreciating what we truly have. Time. An everyday example. You wake up, grab your phone. Endless scrolling. 2 hours later you still haven't eaten, haven't made progress, and your head is full of emotional clutter. And the real tragedy is not the loss of 2 hours. It's the loss of presence, awareness, and strength within you. Now imagine if you used that time to be with yourself, to write down what you feel, to take a walk alone, to think, not plan, just feel alive. I know silence sometimes hurts. I know loneliness can be scary. But I also know this. Silence is a doorway. On the other side lies your stronger, more conscious, freer self. Remember Marcus Aurelius' words. True tranquility lies in the proper ordering of the mind within your own kingdom. And that kingdom is built in solitude. No supervision, no audience, just you and your time. So start honoring it. Make your time a temple and awareness your ally. Because only when you learn to be honest with yourself will you become unshakable. Fourth, be ready to distance yourself from people. There's a truth you need to accept, even if it hurts. Not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay. Some come to teach you, some to accompany you for a while, and some simply to show you what you don't deserve. But there comes a moment when growing up becomes painful, because growing up also means walking away quietly, not with pride, not with drama, but with respect for your peace, your energy, and your process. The key is to stay close to those who lift your soul and stay far from those who drag you down. And no matter how hard it feels, this too is an act of self-love. Because the soul feeds not just on food or air, but on people. People who dim your light, who drain your peace, who make you feel you must fight to earn attention. Picture yourself as a plant. Like any plant, you need sun, water, and space to grow. But if you're placed in a corner where no light reaches, if someone waters your roots too much and drowns you, or another plant grows too close and forces you to bend, and eventually you wither. The same is true for you. It is not selfish to walk away from those who do not let you grow. It is emotional survival. I'm sure this has happened to you. You pour out all your strength for someone. You send messages, suggest plans, give support, and on the other side there is silence, or worse, half-hearted replies with lukewarm energy. And you excuse their lack of interest, convincing yourself you must accept it, that this is just how people are. But you need to understand something. You don't have to force your presence into anyone's life. Genuine affection is never begged for. Respect is never begged for. It is either given or it is not. If it isn't there, then it's time to make space for those who will value your existence. The Stoics practiced what they called apatheia, not emotional coldness, but freedom from what you cannot control. You cannot control how others love you, how they care for you, whether they stay or whether they leave. But you can control this, your decision to stay where you are unhappy. And in that, you must be honest with yourself. Not all relationships are healthy. Not every "I love you" is true, and not every "I'm here" is real. Sometimes, in order to find yourself again, you have to lose others, not because you don't love them, but because you need yourself more. Be ready to walk away not with anger, but with calmness, not with resentment, but with love for yourself. Because life is too short to spend it where your presence is ignored, where your light is dimmed, where your soul feels cramped. Yes, it hurts at first, but then you release, you breathe, and you remember who you are. Fifth, be self-sufficient. There is a kind of freedom few people know. It is not in money, not in travels, not in being surrounded by thousands of people. This freedom comes on the day you become enough for yourself, when you are no longer emotionally dependent on anyone's validation, when you don't need applause to keep moving forward. That day, you become truly strong. Deep within you lies an essence that never disappears if you learn how to draw on it. And that essence is you, your conscience, your inner strength, your ability to rise again when life shakes you. Picture a lighthouse standing tall, surrounded by storms, winds, darkness, yet it never stops shining. It does not matter whether the sea is calm or raging. It doesn't need ships to validate its purpose. It simply fulfills it, to guide, to shine, to stand. That is what it means to be sure of yourself, to know who you are, what you are worth, and to stand tall even if no one acknowledges it. You've had days when you gave more than you received. You lived in illusions, and they left you in the dark. You listened, you showed up, but when you needed someone, no one came. It's easy to break down, to feel lost, to wonder, what's wrong with me? But here lies the lesson. You cannot let the value you give yourself depend on how others treat you. Your peace cannot be a toy in someone else's hands. You are not here to beg for scraps of emotion. The respect you long for begins with you. The love you long for grows within you. Epictetus was a slave, and yet he taught the greatest freedom, the freedom that comes from mastering yourself. No man is free who is not master of himself. And what does this mean? It means you can be alone without feeling defeated. You can be rejected without being destroyed. You can enjoy your own company as your best friend. When you become self-sufficient, no one has the power to destroy you anymore. You become like a strong tree that no longer trembles at any wind. You no longer need to belong to anyone, because you already belong to yourself. And from that fullness, you choose to love, to share, to give, not out of need, but out of decision. Sixth, learn to say no. It seems like such a small word, yet it is one of the most powerful acts you can make for yourself. Saying no is not selfishness. It is care for yourself. It is the art of setting boundaries, the courage to protect your energy, the silent respect you show yourself when you decide that your peace is worth more than pleasing others. I'm sure this has happened to you. You're invited somewhere. You don't want to go. You're tired. Your mind is begging for rest. But you feel guilty. I don't want to look bad, you think. And so you go, wearing a fake smile, making compromises, when deep down, all you wanted was quiet. That is saying yes to others and no to yourself. And when it becomes a habit, you slowly die inside. Remember this. The one who tries to please everyone becomes a slave to them all. We often confuse kindness with servitude. But you did not come into this life to be an emotional cushion. You came to grow, to learn, to live, and to live with purpose. For that, you need space. You need silence. You need choice. When you say no, something magical happens. You gain respect from others, but most importantly, from yourself. You gain more time and energy for what truly matters. You become clearer, stronger, more focused. Because saying no is a quiet act of courage and freedom. Every time you please everyone else, you lose a piece of yourself. And if you do it too often, you forget who you are, what you want, what you feel. Learning to say no is not about building walls. It's about building your inner sanctuary, a place where only what nourishes your soul is allowed to enter. A place where you decide who comes in, who stays, and who no longer crosses the threshold. So today, I want to leave you with this. Don't be afraid to disappoint others if it means not disappointing yourself. Because when you learn to say no, you are really saying yes to yourself. Dear viewers, if you are interested in the topics of Stoicism and self-development, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube and Telegram channels. Every subscription is a step toward a stronger community. Together, we are creating a space of meaning, where the word of truth sounds deeply and authentically. Seventh, care for yourself inside and out. Take care of yourself, not because the world demands it, not because others are watching. Care for yourself because you are worth it, because your body is your home, and your mind is your temple. If you do not protect them, who will? We live in a world that trains us to focus outward. How do you look? What do you have? What have you achieved? But rarely does anyone ask, how is your soul? How do you speak to yourself when no one is listening? How do you treat yourself in silence? The Stoics did not separate body from soul. To care for one is to care for the other. Epictetus said, "No free man can be a slave to his body." And yet so many of us are slaves to neglect, to laziness, to denial. We demand so much from our minds, yet neglect our bodies. Or we train our bodies but ignore our emotions, losing balance. Picture yourself as an archer. Your body is the bow, your soul the arrow, your goal the target. If the bow is broken or weak, no matter how fine the arrow, it will not fly far. And if your body is strong but your soul is empty, what is the point of aiming at all? Caring for yourself inside and out is refining both soul and body so they work together. Think of the days when you eat poorly, sleep poorly, skip exercise, skip meditation, skip even a deep breath. Then you wonder, why do I feel so bad? Why can't I focus? Why am I so anxious? The answer is often hidden in the quiet neglect you've inflicted on yourself. It wasn't punishment. It was lack of care. Self-care is not only about going to the doctor or gym. It is also about turning off your phone and resting. It is about no longer speaking harshly to yourself. It is saying, I am here for me, and I will not abandon myself again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. And we can reverse that, what is not good for you is not good for the world you give yourself to. You cannot be a good friend, a good partner, a good parent, a good human, if you are empty, exhausted, or broken inside. Caring for yourself is not a luxury. It is a responsibility. It is giving yourself what you need so that you can stand strong, and then help others without losing yourself. No strong life can be built on a weak foundation. And that foundation is you, your habits, the way you speak to yourself, your relationship with your body and your mind. Self-care inside and out is not a privilege. It is a duty. It is understanding that your energy, your awareness, your very presence, all depend on how you treat yourself. So today, I invite you, make peace with yourself, honor your body, accept your mind, and never forget that your inner well-being shapes everything you do on the outside. 8th, embrace imperfection. Look at yourself in the mirror, not with judgment, not with criticism. Look at yourself with compassion. That wrinkle, that scar, that mistake, that moment that broke you, all of it is you. And you don't need to hide it, fix it, or be perfect. You just need to be real. There is a Japanese practice called kintsugi. When a pot breaks, it is not thrown away but repaired with gold. The cracks are not hidden, they are highlighted. The message is this: your wounds do not take away your value. They add to it, because each of them tells a story. Each is proof that you kept on living, no matter what. Stoicism tells you the same thing, not about becoming a flawless machine, but about becoming a strong human being, because you acknowledge your flaws and integrate them. How many times have you felt the pressure to pretend, to look stronger than you really are, to laugh when inside you felt like you were falling apart? We live behind masks, and the irony is that we all have our flaws, but no one wants to show them.